You know, the Department of Justice just indicted former President Donald Trump. Is this another sign that we are indeed in a cold civil war? What does that mean for you? How do you need to take that as a prepper? I'm not talking about this so much from the standpoint of politics, although politics has got to be factored into a little bit to understand the driving causes of what's coming in our society. And I got to be very careful here because this is a very touchy subject on this platform. So bear with me and bear with my some of my vagueness, but you will know what I'm talking about, guys. The Elon Musk just come out and he said that the Department of Justice better be careful because the public will lose trust in the Department of Justice. Knock knock, Elon. We're already there. Already, the polls are indicating that there's only prior to this only a 46% approval rating of the Department of Justice. That's pretty darn close to, the number of people who might vote for Biden, which I think, or at least the people that give him an approval rating right now is 40%. But see, the whole government is falling in trust. And this is one of the issues that divides our society and makes our society unstable. As you might recall, there have been recent polls that have suggested that 43% of the U.S. public believes that in the next 10 years, there will be a good chance for a civil war, a hot civil war. We're not talking just a cold civil war, but some think we're already in there. This was determined by YouGov and The Economist by surveys they did here in the United States, although they are British outfits. So maybe it's better an outsider look at these kind of things. But according to the Gallup poll, the U.S. Congress only has a 7% vote of confidence from the American public, 7%. This is one of our key institutions of the public. When their approval is like 7% or at least 7% confidence, that's horrible. That's horrible. When people feel that way about our government, the government is in huge trouble. This is a government that taxes you. This is a government that levies requirements and laws upon you. And if people feel that way about it, there's going to be a lot of resentment from either side to whatever it comes out with. So you might find, like I said, Biden, according to Gallup, had a 40% approval rate. According to Rasmussen, the approval for the FBI is 46%, the same as approval rating from the Pew Pew Research Center for the Department of Justice, 46%. So that is less than half, and it is likely to possibly go down. So what that really says overall is that the overall approval rating for our government is less than half. So if most people do not approve of and have confidence in the government that governs them, and are willing to say so publicly, then the government is in trouble. It has violated the trust of its people. Maybe could it be because they passed so many laws and regulations, they take so much money from us and just throw it around willy-nilly, however they care? That might be part of it, but we do have a fundamental division in this nation between people that think on the left side of the spectrum and people that think on the right side of the spectrum. And there's getting to be more and more of a gap in the middle. And each side is very much diametrically opposed. And it is pretty much lining up that certain states, certain sides are predominant, although it's primarily an urban versus rural phenomenology, primarily. And by I say primarily urban, there are some urban centers that are conservative, but they're in those conservative states, like Huntsville, Alabama, for example, which is the biggest metropolitan area as a city in the state of Alabama. It's very conservative, but it's growing, and it may change. It may flip. We get some people coming from the rest of the country, but guys, the predominant thing is that it's got to do with how much people want to be independent versus dependent. Those who are happy to be dependent, they love the left side. Those that want to be independent, like farmers, small businessmen, they like to have that freedom. They like things on the other side. Now, each side accuses each other of different things, and there's a lot of name calling and so forth. So it's most unfortunate because it just furthers the divide. It's hard to bring them back together. This is why we may indeed evolve into a civil war, a hot civil war. Let's hope that don't happen because there's nothing uglier that can happen to a nation. Now, I think if we could have some kind of amicable divorce, it might be better. But maybe you don't even need that. Maybe if we could just agree that these states live this way and these states live that way, and and we have a states' rights, essentially. If we can go back to the states' rights model, but of course the left side would hate that. That would be an anathema to them because they want to tell everybody else that you can't have your cows, you can't have your gas range, and no nugs and bang bangs. And of course, people over here want to tell people how to live too. How about we just agree to let us live the way we want in our states? But these guys won't allow that because if you got that cow and that cow is out belching and doing whatever else it does, then the whole world's at risk. Never mind the fact that we used to have herds of buffalo, millions of them running all over the country. Uh, so there's a lot of stuff out there to take into consideration here. And we're really two different countries already. Now, I hope we can live peaceful. We speak the same language. We've got good trading relations, and we got good friends and family all over this country. It would be a tragic thing if we had a civil war. We hope not, but maybe some amenable separation. Hey, you live this way and we live that way. Could we do that? Could we pull that off with everybody wanting to tell everybody else how to live? I don't know, but it's worth a shot. If it can stop a hot civil war, it's worth a shot because we don't need the war to go hot. I'm trying to bring peace here, but these are dangerous subjects to talk on this platform. Very dangerous. That's one of these. I'm trying to stay in the middle of the road here and look at it from a path to peace. But there needs to be a path to prepping because all these things put you and your family at risk. It means the infrastructure can go down. Think about the riots around the Floyd time. Think about cities getting burned and store owners getting pulled out and beaten to a pulp. But that was all right according to certain people. But I won't get into that. But you know what I'm talking about. So, guys, no kind of violence is all right. To be honest, we got to learn to. We need to learn to do things. Well, self-defense. You got to defend yourself. You got to defend your family and your communities, and and the nations or states or whatever wherever you live. You got to defend it if things go down. So there's that. That aside, guys, this cold civil war is here. We're living it. Look at what's happening. What's happening with the Department of Justice and FBI. It's been alleged that all their prosecutions are one-sided. Even Musk brought this up in his recent tweets and so forth. I mean, Trump has been indicted with 37 counts. When he had these documents, originally he was president, he was authorized to have them. He could have declassified them. Now, supposedly he didn't. According to some sources, I don't know, but vice president, who's not got that authority, Joe Biden, when he was vice president, took a whole lot of documents and put them in his garage. If you're going to prosecute this guy, why you're not prosecuting this guy? Or how about the former Secretary of State, Miss Rodham, HRC, if you know what I'm talking about. She had those servers. They had all that stuff on her own personal servers. There were the cell phones, which she did official business from, that were private, which is against policy. But by doing so, you wouldn't know what all was going on about things such as Yazi Bin. Flipped it around, if you know what I mean. This is a very sensitive platform. I got to be very sensitive here. What I'm trying to do is let you know that our country is deeply divided. And as a prepper, you need to be ready because it means your infrastructure could crash if we get into a civil war. Even if the rest of the world loves us and does nothing, we ain't got nobody wanting to knock us out or do something. There's some countries that probably don't absolutely love us, I wonder why. But all that aside, we've got enough turmoil within this country to bring ourselves down. So what I would say is we need to find ways to make peace. We need to find ways to reach out to the other side of the aisle and talk to people to try to get them to understand how you see things because they're very polarized right now. They can't see things as you see them, either side. We need to work to prep for our families more than anything. That's the one thing we got to do. So I'm going to show you a couple of things, guys. Prep for the families. Take care. I'm going to be real quick here. We're not going to be but a minute. I'm going to do a couple of screen shares. Ding, 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 ding. And while you're in the business of prepping for your families, you can always check out prepwithgreg.com. Link below. Prepwithgreg.com. Right now, we got a special $200 off a 3-month supply of food that lasts 25 years, 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is a deal to make you a winner because, you know, hey, you'll spend that in a month if you're not careful. That's 3 months, though, and this stuff lasts 25 years. It's like an investment. Put it up 25 years from now, you go, wow, that was a bargain. If you can hold on to it, or you get a 1-month supply. And if you can't handle that, still go to the big box stores and do what you can. This stuff is really good for bugging out. It's good for burying, you know, so somebody throws your door open and goes digging around through your house. If this stuff is buried, they're not going to find it. It's kind of hard to bury jars. It can be done, but the stuff is rugged. You can throw it in your, you can throw these pouches in your backpack. You can throw that on the back of a motorcycle or in the back of your car. So this is pretty good. But more than anything, you might want to come in here and click on this stuff and go look at some of the water purification, air purification, and stuff like that, given all the stuff that's happening in the world today. All right, enough said of that. So this is an article about Elon, what he was saying. And here's what he said. He said, there does not seem to be, excuse me, he said, there does seem to be far higher interest in pursuing Trump compared to other people in politics. I'm going to show you what the other side said. So that's coming from Fox News, where here is MSNBC. And there's an ex-FBI agent in here who wants to silence anybody who points out things like was pointed out there, because it might incite violence. These people shouldn't be talking this stuff. See, that's one of the things that we have problems with. We got groups out there who want to tell you what you can say and not say. And if it's anything against their side, they want to shut you down. They want freedom of speech only as a one-way street. I do not agree with that. Freedom of speech goes both ways, as long as you aren't directly, you know, don't yell fire in a theater, if you know what I mean. I don't believe in inciting violence, but just pointing out the truth is important. People need to know what's going on, whatever it is, whatever that truth may be. But, you know, he says this is what's this guy's name? I had it a minute ago. Frank Figliuzzi. I didn't say it right. Frank Figliuzzi. I don't know, Italian name. But he said this is an important issue from a security perspective. So what he is saying is all these guys out here talking this stuff are inciting violence. So all this needs to go toward this risk and threat picture that the FBI and the Secret Service and Marshals have been going to assess. Oh, yeah, man, we talked about that some. We've talked about that. So we're going to see people incited. If this doesn't change, he wants it to change. He wants people to shut up. Okay, well, unfortunately, a lot of people do think it's one-sided. What do you think? Leave me comments below. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting that nothing's been charged to certain other people. They're just going after mainly one person. But, you know, this is bigger than just Trump, guys. That's why I've said this. We may be in a cold civil war here. This is probably a lot bigger. There's other things that's been out there. We've talked about some of these things before. I'm not going to drill on them any further here. Let me stop this share. Bang. I'm not going to drill on them anymore right now because we've talked about it. You know what it is. Go watch my previous videos. There's no point harping on some things endlessly. The main thing you need to know is we got to start figuring out how to make peace. We got to be able to defend ourselves, though, and consider that all this may crash. The cold civil war is still a very bad thing. If it goes hot, it's the worst nightmare you can imagine. We do not need a civil war. So this is an appeal for peace, but both sides are so far apart. You know, one side is not going to make the other live the way they want them to, and there'll be peace. That's not happening. That's what they think. They really believe it. They really believe it. So some of these guys believe if they take away your nugs and muzzle you, you're going to be happy. And take your property and put you in a rack and stack ISO shipping container by the railroad track, and you'll own nothing, and you'll just be happy. Maybe only happy people be around to be happy because maybe they're going to maybe those people wouldn't have been happy and won't be around anymore. Who knows, guys? What are they talking about? How can everybody be happy to be looted like that? So I don't know. Maybe they know more than I do. I'm just a rocket scientist. I'm just a worm herder. What do I know? Anyway, so guys, get ready, prepare. We got all kind of stuff going on in the world right now. The whole world seems to be coming apart at the seams. We may be on the verge of a WWIII. To have a WWIII, a Great Depression, and a Civil War all together would be nightmare piled on nightmare. Any one of these things would be a nightmare. Even the solar coronal mass ejection will be a nightmare. We got a lot of threats in the world today. Hope and pray none of them come to pass. But if you want to bank on that, you're taking a big chance. Do whatever you can to get prepared for yourself and your family. And just consider your preparations to be an investment in the future, because you'll have it down the road should you have hard times otherwise. And that did help me when tornadoes hit here in 2011, and we had no power for a week. Hey, I had a little cook stove, I had my little propane bottles, I had my little food stuff. I was good to go. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching, and Greg out.